Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Sports Time HQ. I am your host, Fernando. Joining me today is my great co-host, Gary. Gary, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. It's starting to get cold here. We finally got into the cold weather. It went from like 85, like we were talking about like last week, to like 60 degrees. Nuts. The drop was actually crazy right. But overall, it's not too bad. The weather's going okay now. But yeah, overall, it's not too bad. Patriots are winning. Can never complain about that.
Oh, I mean, they got a big game this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what will happen with the division if they keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I still think it's the Bills' division, but I mean, Patriots do have, a very easy path, so they keep winning. Who knows?
Yeah, and they have an easier path this weekend with the Browns.
That's what I was getting at.
Oh man. But yeah, Chargers Vikings are Thursday Night Football, and we'll talk about the Thursday Night Football predictions later on in the show. But let's get into some news and notes, Gary. First, it looks like Jets are staying put with the front office management and everything, but they are going to be benching Fields from the looks of things, and Tyrod Taylor will start. How you feeling, Gary, about Tyrod?
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they're embracing the tank. I mean, Fields hasn't been that great, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor, that's a new level of that. So we'll see how that goes. I take it you still can't hear the music.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary. I don't know why. I don't know why the music just won't work.
I don't know why. I don't know why you can't either, but I figured you couldn't once it was still going.
Also, the music was probably really loud because it didn't adjust the volume.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
At least it's good music, Gary, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's a hype intro, Yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested to see, but I'm also interested to see about the fantasy production now of both Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, because Breece Hall has not had the greatest season so far, but Garrett Wilson hasn't had a bad season either for fantasy. But with Tyrod Taylor now there, what's going to happen? Mason Taylor also hasn't had a bad season. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, if that's going to affect Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor, or if it's going to help them maybe in the long run. I think it might hurt them more.
Yeah, it's definitely up for debate because Tyrod Taylor is more of a pocket passer, I guess. So, I mean, that might impact them for the better, but like I said, Tyrod Taylor is not great, and we all know that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm dealing with this audio problem on TikTok now. My goodness. Okay, we are officially working on TikTok again. Gary's joining. Hopefully, he doesn't get banned again, because it would
I'm
be
sure
funny
I will
if he did. Thanks to Adriana saying can't hear anything on TikTok. So good thing got her over there saying it, letting me know. But let's go on to some more news and notes. Tyler Lockett being released from the Titans. I mean, he is old. He's getting up there, but I'm curious. I'm thinking he's going to find a new team because obviously he does produce. But the thing is he's not going to be a guy that's going to come in as a wide receiver 1. Maybe can come in as a wide receiver 2. I'm curious maybe if he goes and signs with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I mean, not a bad shot there, just due to the fact that they have all those injuries going on in that room. But yeah, it's kind of sucks that he's like nearing the end of his career, which I think we've all kind of gathered from this situation. He had so many great years with Seattle, but things have taken their course, and it happens. Every good player must every good player's career must come to an end, and I feel like we're kind of reaching the end with Tyler Lockett. But he's always been that reliable guy, at least for Seattle. So I don't think if he were to go anywhere, he would instantly become a starter. Maybe if he were to go to Tampa, just due to the fact that they are so banged up with the position. But I would assume it's just more depth and veteran leadership if he were to get
Mhm.
signed anywhere.
That's very true. Very true. You mentioned some players' careers come to an end. One is actually just restarting after 7 months, and that's defensive end Brandon Graham. He is unretiring, and he is set to join the Eagles again. He is 37 years old.
I feel like we're seeing a lot of these players just randomly have a change of heart. I mean, you know, we both played sports, and at
Hmm.
some point, it had to come to an end for the both of us, and that time sucked, at least for me. Nobody ever wants to quit, like playing
No.
your sport, whatever it is. But there comes a time where, you've reached your limit to how far you can go playing it. And, I guess Brandon Graham has found, second wind, I guess.
Yep.
And we'll see if he's able to contribute to the Eagles possibly winning another championship. But like I said earlier, I feel like we're seeing you get amount of these players that are retiring, having kind of a, second thought or change of heart and coming back and playing the game that they love.
Yeah. Obviously, I wish I could keep playing baseball. That would be
Yeah.
nice. You as well, of course. Some questions on TikTok. AJ Brown or DK Metcalf. I'm gonna say more. This is rest of the season since we're not doing start sits necessarily on our Tuesday show. But I would say AJ Brown rest of the season.
Yeah, I would also say AJ Brown rest of the season. I don't know if you remember, but I did say he was going to have his comeback game when we were talking
He
on
did.
Sunday. I said,
He did.
I think maybe for trade value purposes for the Eagles, he's going to have possibly his best game of the year, and I think he did.
What about Travis Hunter? I said that he was going to get in the end zone anytime touchdown.
He
He
did.
got in.
He did.
He got into the end zone. Let's see what other questions we have on TikTok. Anthony says, "Would you trade Bo Nix for DeAndre Swift?" I'm presuming one quarterback.
No, not
I
straight
would.
up. I think it depends who your other quarterback is because chances are you probably took him high, and if you're going to be stuck with a guy like, oh, I don't know, Geno Smith or something like that,
Yeah.
then absolutely not. But if you have another reliable guy, like maybe you drafted, I don't know, Jordan Love late, who still isn't even that great of a name, but you're able to take the hit at the quarterback position, I would do it, especially if you need help at the RB position. But just depends who your other, the other guy that you have is, because
Mhm.
again, you can't go out having like a guy like Geno Smith or Carson Wentz trotting out there.
Yeah, I mean that is very true. But I think with one quarterback leagues, it's easier to find a replacement quarterback than it is finding a running back who's been producing pretty well in the recent weeks. But that's my opinion. I think Superflex, no, you definitely couldn't get rid of Bo Nix for it. Blake asking Abuka and Keenan Allen for Puka Nakua.
By the way, Bo Nix is quarterback 6 in the season.
He also had a really good week this past week. I think he scored 33
He did,
points.
but on the season he's quarterback 6, so he's halfway up on QB1.
So is this your
So,
point like you made what last week or 2 weeks ago about Matthew Stafford being like QB6 at one point?
well, I don't know. I'm just trying to say that I'm not
Yeah, you
trading
make a good
a
point. You make
a
you make a good
QB1.
point there. You make a good point there. You make a good point. Um, yeah. So Blake saying Ibuka and Keenan for Puka. Would you do the date? Would you do the deal?
Buka and Keenan for Puka. Oof. I mean, yeah, probably. You just obviously have to hope that he comes back healthy. But you know, before he got hurt, he was wide receiver 1 and was looking like he was going to be the clear runaway with the wide receiver 1 spot. So I
Hmm.
think, if he comes back and is healthy, then I would do it. but you're also giving up, Egbuka, who he's going to be a wide receiver one, especially with the injuries in that room.
Yep.
He's, once he's fully healthy, he played last week, of course, but once he's fully healthy, he's going to be a wide receiver one. And then you kind of have to hope, if you're going to make that move, that Keenan Allen falls off, because right now he's like wide receiver 7 or 8. So
Yeah, he's popped off each and every single week, and we mentioned how like when QJ is back, that usually it means
yeah,
that Keenan Allen's also going to have a good week, which he ended up having a good week. All right, teams on the bye week this week: Cardinals, Lions, Jaguars, Raiders, Rams, and Seahawks. A lot of teams with a lot of decent players on bye weeks. Names including Kenneth Walker, JSN, Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua, Ashton Genty, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, somewhat ETN, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Marvin Harrison, Bam Knight. Should we talk about Bam Knight as well?
might
Being
as
a big
well.
name. Yeah. Um, I mean, it's big names, so we're gonna go through some waiver wires on guys that you guys should be picking up in your waivers. But just before we get into that, I just want to go run down through the injury report this week to monitor and kind of see what injuries we've had. A lot of quarterback injury and a lot of young quarterback
Yeah.
injury as well. I'll go through the quarterbacks, Gary. You tell me which one speaks to your mind the most. Michael Penix Jr. bone bruise in his foot/ankle. He is day to day. Lamar Jackson hamstring. He was not seen practicing on Monday. Bryce Young dealing with a high ankle sprain. The Panthers hope he misses one game, but this type of injury usually is a 2 to 4 week injury. Jane Daniels having a hamstring injury, not significant or long term. His week 8 status is unclear. JJ McCarthy not there yet, says Coach Kevin Connell. Wentz will start Thursday Night Football, and Brock Purdy is also unlikely to play for Week 8. Mac Jones set
Yeah,
to
I
start.
mean, obviously the biggest name there is Lamar. Everybody is really hoping that he can get back, because that's your second round pick. And, if he's not there, then you're screwed. I'm in that boat in 2 leagues, so I need him to get back. It's just kind of aggravating. I mean, of course, more than everything, you want him to be healthy, but as an owner, from a fantasy standpoint, it's aggravating because, you lost him for the last 2 weeks, and then he's had this bye, and, reports were they're going to try to keep him as healthy as can be during the bye. And I'm sure they did do that, but, it's not a good sign seeing that he's not able to practice at the start of the week. Hopefully by Wednesday, I would say he's practicing. And if not, then I don't think we'll be having him again.
Yeah, you would expect to have him sit out again and have another week for fantasy
Yeah.
managers on the bench, which also is not the greatest thing to have because of the fact that it's almost like a wasted roster spot.
Yeah.
Whether or not if he was on IR, it would be a different story where you could have him on IR and boom, there it is. It's perfectly fine. And you can just add an extra player. I think for me, besides that, I would probably say Brock Purdy. And the reason why I say that is because the more and more Mac Jones keeps winning and keeps doing better,
Yep.
the lesser of a chance Brock Purdy is going to come back to a job. He will come back to a job, but it will be how good does he have to be with the standards that Mac Jones has put up now?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is about him is, like, the 2 games that he has played, like, he was good in them, especially fantasy wise. So I don't think it's necessarily, you know, uh, his job is in jeopardy or anything, but you're right.
Yeah.
If they're going to keep winning with Mac Jones, then they might just ride the hot hand, especially if Purdy
Which
is
sucks because they
like,
paid so much money to Brock Purdy.
right. And like I said, he's been solid in the 2 games that he played. So if you drafted Purdy as your quarterback one, you need him to get back.
Yeah.
And, it would suck, but like I said, they might ride the hot hand just due to the fact that if they're going to keep winning, and, especially if they're entering, a week where Brock Purdy is like 50-50 and they're still winning, I think they would lean Mac Jones. A game that Brock Purdy could play, could not play. I think they're, not going to risk it, and they'll just go with the guy, like I said, who's got the hot hand, who's playing well. It's got the team winning, and, that obviously sucks for fantasy.
Yeah, it 100% does. And it's going to suck if they do have to go to the hot hand, for sure. I want to mention this question that's on TikTok. Gavin saying, who's better rest of the season, ETN or David Montgomery?
That's tough. I would like to say Montgomery, but I really don't know, in all honesty. I don't know either of those guys. ETN's looking to come back to life, or come back down to earth, I should say, just a little bit. And Montgomery is so on both ends of the spectrum. It's either he drops 30 points or he drops 0. So I don't really know where to go. I'm gonna say Monty, just because I think he's in the better offense, and he's gonna have more opportunities to score, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. If you asked me this maybe like 4 weeks ago, I would have said ETN.
Yeah.
But it's just you can't trust him right now. I did just sell him high, which was great. Sold him for 2 seconds,
nice.
I think, or first
That's
and a
nice.
second. So in Dynasty. Running backs, Bucky Irving dealing with a foot shoulder again. He hasn't played in a few weeks. Something to monitor this week. Aaron Jones, hamstring injury, had his 21-day window open. Hassan Haskins, hamstring, did not practice Monday. And Kendra Miller, 20 CL to miss the rest of the season.
I'm trying to get Kamara. I'm trying as hard as I can. He has not been playing well right now, so I think you can get him for cheap. And the guy that they were starting to give carries, maybe not more than Kamara, but they were starting to really start to involve him in this offense. Kendra Miller goes out with a 20 ACL. I think that, Alvin Kamara, I'm not going to say he's going to put up 20 points a week, but he's right around that 5 to 8 points a week right now range that everybody just hates. But that he can get to that 15 to 20 range. I think he's going to be closer to that 12 to 15 points a game, and that could be a huge difference if he's sitting there at your flex spot right now. So I'm trying to get Alvin Kamara for dirt cheap right now. Of course, if the owner has Alvin Kamara, they might know that Kendra Miller's hurt. If they don't, try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think that one's a huge one to mention, because a lot of people, again, not liking Kamara's production. Miller looked like he was going to be the guy to take over, and there you go. His season comes to an end so quick. Just as it was just starting, it comes to an end.
Yeah.
For me, I think Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Whenever Aaron Jones does end up coming back, it's going to hurt Jordan Mason's value. The question is, does he get traded? It's a big question. But Aaron Jones, he could still be 3 weeks away. So that is another thing. He could be 3 weeks away, and he might not come back for the next 3 weeks, which is perfectly fine. But say he comes back this week, which I highly doubt, that's just another thing to keep in mind. Wide receivers, Mike Evans, broken collarbone, out for the season. Calvin Austin, shoulder injury, expected to practice this week. Nico Collins, concussion day-to-day. Jacoby Myers, knee and a toe injury, expected to return after the Las Vegas bye week this week. I think unanimously, me and you can both say Mike Evans being the biggest blow for the wide receivers, of course. And it also snaps his consecutive 1,000-yard seasons as well.
Yeah, that really sucks. He's kind of been a guy that I think I saw a stat. He's got a hamstring injury every single year. And it's crazy to think that even with that, he's never, missed out on a 1,000-yard season. I, can always remember that he's been kind of not necessarily injury prone, but he's always got a red Q next to his name. And it sucks to see that, of course, for fantasy, but he's an Iron Man. He's played through it all. Unfortunately, can't play through this. So sucks for Mike Evans. He's definitely a guy to, watch out for, especially if you have him in Dynasty, because he's on the last year of his contract right now. And,
good mention on that one.
Yeah, he's on the last year of his contract right now. And I looked up on it literally as he broke his collarbone, like literally 30 seconds after
No
I saw the
way.
play. Yeah, like 30 seconds after the play, I like looked up like, does he intend to retire? And I saw a lot of sources saying that he doesn't intend to retire. Um, I just would like to know like if he's going to resign or go anywhere else, because I can't see him playing anywhere other than in Tampa. But at the same time, you know, they have such a good young core with Emeka Godwin and Jalen McMillan. So I mean, that's going to be something to watch. Even like Tez Johnson, who's just starting to break out randomly. So it'll be something to watch out for if they maybe bring him back on a cheap deal if he's open to that.
I mean, he's also played his whole career there, and
That's what I'm saying. I can't see him playing anywhere else, but you
like,
never know.
is Godwin's contract up this year or next year?
Godwin, they just re-sign him?
Yeah, it was a 3-year deal.
Oh,
So he,
was
yeah,
it? I
yeah,
thought it was a 2 year. I don't know. It's definitely not this year. I think they just re-signed him.
yeah. So 2 or 3 year. So Godwin. Now the question is, do they see Godwin as the number one moving forward and Ibuka as the two, or are they willing to part ways? Maybe the cut. I don't know how much it is to cut him, but maybe they just move on from Godwin and Evans.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll definitely be something to look at. Like I said, they have a really good young core with Emeka, and people forgetting about McMillan, who came alive at the end of the last season. So it's definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. Um, for the tight ends, David Njoku day to day, Brock Bowers knee expected to return after the bye week for the Raiders, and the waiver wire significance out of the week, multiple weeks in a row. Darren Waller has a pectoral strain and he is week to week. Waller will probably be in the waivers again, but Bowers hoping to return after the bye week is huge because a lot of fantasy managers drafted him as a tight end one. It's my take right there.
Oh my God, Fredis.
Nah, you're good. Don't worry. But yeah, I think Darren Waller will probably be in the waivers, and then of course Bowers being the guy, most important guy to talk about, anyways.
Yeah, I apologize about that, but yeah, no, it's definitely something to watch out for because I mean, Waller like just popped off randomly for like
Yep.
2 3 weeks, and then just put up a dud because he got hurt during the game. So that kind of sucks, but you know, the big guy obviously you mentioned is Brock Bowers. You need him to get back because just like Lamar, he's your second round pick, and you spent the premium on him, and you need to get him back if you want to
Yep.
win games. If you have a good record, then you might say, oh, I can afford to miss him. But then again, like that could be the difference between you winning your championship and not is him getting an early jump start to this to what would be his season and not.
No, I can officially, because also when he comes back, if he doesn't produce, now the question is, do you drop him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can ever drop Brock Bowers, but I mean, I know you're just so against having a second tight end on your team for some
I
reason,
am.
which
I'm against
makes
it.
absolutely no sense, but that's fine.
I'm against it. I'll stand by it.
I mean, you're never dropping Brock Bowers, so
No, you're
unless he's
not.
done for the year.
You're not. And that, I think at that point, that's when I can say, okay, maybe have two tight ends. If you have one that's really, really good or supposed to be really, really good, and you physically can't drop them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I'm not against it completely. There's times where I can say, okay, you can have two tight ends.
Well, it's just like at the same time, though. Sorry to cut you off, but like,
no, go ahead.
but it's like, would I rather have a second tight end that might be my tight end one eventually, or do I want Hassan Haskins because I think the guy that might be my tight end one is a second tight end that I can't play at the same time as my other tight end, so I need another bench spot. No, I'm gonna take a second tight end because who the hell is taking Hassan Haskins after what he's done for the last couple of games?
You took him a couple games.
I thought he was going to be the premium back, but he's not. So no, I'm not like taking him at all.
Yeah, he has turned out to be a guy that's just not been the production guy that we've been
Yeah.
expecting to see. Vidal's the guy.
Yeah, he is.
So, Gary, you got any more news, notes, injuries before we really dive into this waiver wire show?
Nah, none that I can think of.
All right. Well, it is time for the Week 8 waiver wire show. And of course, we are halfway just about through the season, which is crazy to say.
Crazy.
But these are guys that we're going to mention that are under 70% owned and guys that you guys need to pick up in your waivers if they're available. Hopefully, they're available. Bobby saying best pickup with Evans being out, running back or wide receiver. We got you covered. We're
Stay
there.
tuned.
We're gonna mention it right after our quarterbacks for the running backs, anyways. I'm gonna start with my guy, and I'm going to stop talking about him. I believe next week. I think it's been 6 straight weeks since he's officially been the starter. Why is Jackson Dart not over 70% owned? I mean, he just put up 29.42 points. He's had back-to-back weeks where he finishes a QB3. Guys, Malik Neighbors, yeah, sure, he tore his ACL. He was out for the season. Maybe that was the week that was a concern whether or not Dart would still produce. He is still producing. So the fact that he's still producing, he's finishing back-to-back weeks QB3. He doesn't have a bye week until week 14. So it's not like you need to have two quarterbacks right away to put in while Dart's away on a bye week. He doesn't have until week 14. We're still 6 weeks out from that. And not only that, he just had a career high in passing yards and touchdowns with 283 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. He has a divisional matchup this week against Philly. He just faced Philly 2 weeks ago. How many points did he put up? He put up 23 points. So the fact that Jackson Dart is only 55% owned, consistently under 70% owned every single week, I just don't understand where we're losing the hype on, because like he's owned in every league I have that I need a quarterback, and I don't have, say, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, but he is in every league on my team because I got him back in week 5, 4.
Yeah, no, I don't really understand why he's, remotely close to under 70% owned. He's balling right now, and I picked him up in one of my leagues. It's a 2-keeper league. I hope he continues to ball out because he will be one of my keepers if he turns into the real deal. Of course, we're only through 4 weeks, but man, he's put up 20 plus every single week. You gotta get the guy in there that's been going off this year, and so far it's been him. He just put up 34 points against Denver on Sunday. He, in my opinion, he's looked better with every game that's gone by. So I think he could honestly be a league winner if you've had any of these quarterbacks that have gotten injured. I think Jackson Dart can at least take you to the promised land. If you got like Burrow or Lamar, whose injuries might end near playoffs, and they come back near playoffs, and you have a decision to make whether to start one of them or Dart. It's a good problem to have, but my point is he's going to be able to get you to the finals, or just at least the playoffs if you have one of those guys and you're playing a terrible backup usually with every week that goes by. So
yeah, usually waiver wire ads, sometimes they're dart throws. This one just has a dart in his last name, but he's a guy that needs to stay on your roster for the rest of the season. I did put up the graphic on YouTube. Didn't expect it to take up the whole screen while you were talking, so apologize for that. But we do have some breaking news, and the breaking news is Hassan Haskins has been ruled out for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh man, hey, that means Kamani Vidal is the guy to start. I'm okay starting him.
Yeah, if you had any doubt.
If you
he's the guy now.
And right now you can get tickets as low as $23 at SoFi Stadium.
Right.
It's actually pretty cheap for a Minnesota Los Angeles game.
It's very cheap. That's a pretty
Yeah,
good game. Or no, I don't know about pretty good, but
I think
solid
it could
game.
be a pretty good game. I mean,
The
yeah,
Vikings
JJ McCarthy's
blow,
not play,
dude.
but huh?
Oh, here we go.
JJ McCarthy, the
Here we
god
go.
tier squad. Oh
That's right.
man,
The
if
God
he was
tier QB.
playing, tickets would be double, triple. All right, let's hear
I
your guy
doubt it.
because this guy is something I have not
Yeah.
heard in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Let's try it. I'm gonna go with Andy Dalton. 0% owned in leagues. So I will, bet any amount of money that he's out there in your leagues. First game filling in for Bryce Young last year, he scored 25 points. And, that's a year ago. But does Andy Dalton really age? I mean, listen, we've seen him turn back the clock a couple times in the last couple years, and I think he can very well do it again. He's going up against
Mhm.
Buffalo, who's really not a good defense. Their run defense is really what's bad, but they're not really a good defense. And last year he was able to find the relationship, early for when he took over with Deontay Johnson, that is. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, with a new wide receiver one and Tedero McMillan, that he's going to be able to do that again. If not, he's got Xavier Legette, who's been cooking, and Jalen Coker, who's back last week. So I think that Andy Dalton can easily fill up the stat sheet this week.
The funniest thing was the beginning of your statement saying you can bet money that he's available in every single
Yeah,
league because he's 0% owned.
exactly right.
I actually, it's interesting because I didn't think of Andy Dalton as a guy to pick up in the waivers, but I will say he is a guy that did produce a couple times last year. So it's
Yeah,
not completely like you're going to take a chance on a guy that's just coming in, like Jake Browning, for instance, when Joe Burrow
yep.
went down. Um, Again, he's not going to give you any rushing ability really, but he will give you some points. Whether or not he is able to produce against the Bills is the question. Like you said, Bills defense hasn't looked the greatest, so I don't hate the dart throw on Dalton.
We'll see what happens.
Jackson Dart, Andy Dalton, our quarterback waiver wire ads of the week. Let's go on to our running backs, and Gary, lead us off with your guy. Mark him on the board.
Well, all right. In all honesty, man, this waiver wire has just been awful. I mean, all
Yeah.
around. Usually it's just the running backs and tight ends, but it's just all around bad. But I found Woody Marks, who's 65% owned, so he's just under the threshold. He had that big 30-point game a couple weeks ago, so that's why he's even this high. But the thing that I like about him is that he's been involved in the receiving game, unlike Chubb. Last night he had 5 targets. He caught 3 of them for 20 yards and a touchdown. Not to mention rushing attempts wise, he's been the leading rusher 2 out of the last 3 games. Not a big sample size, but something to watch out for. He's
Yeah.
also the younger, fresher back. He's a rookie this year. I think we can only assume that he's going to be getting more of the workload until Mixon comes back, if he even does.
Yeah, I don't think Mixon will come back, but I know we talked about Woody Marks in the past on waivers,
Mm.
and I don't hate the pick. Again, like you mentioned, double digit points this past week. Again, just so close to 70% owned, so he still might be available. But he's a
Yeah.
guy that we could see have more and more production. Um, Between him and Nick Chubb, who is the better back? You could say Nick Chubb, but again, who is the long term asset there? That's Woody Marks.
Hmm.
So I don't hate the pick. But like you said, it's been brutal out there chasing for
Yeah.
waivers. My guy is Isaiah Davis.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
he's 11% owned, 5.2 points. I mean, if you're in a deep league, he's a good stash to get right now. He is the lead backup behind Brees Hall. He saw 4 targets, I think was his season high. Only had 2 carries for 10 yards. I'm not saying this is a guy that you pick up and start, but he is a guy who you could see maybe getting more reps in the future this season. Brees Hall has been struggling. The team's 0-7. They could be shopping Brees Hall at the trade deadline. I think we're going to see Davis as a stash player, and who knows? We could see him 50-50 the backfield with Brees Hall. They've been saying that they need to switch up the offense. They just switched up the quarterback. Who to say they're not going to switch up the running back side of things too?
Yeah, I mean, at least fantasy wise, Braylon Allen is out for the year, so you don't have to worry about him anymore. So yeah, technically he is the lead backup behind Brees Hall. And you make a good point. If Brees Hall is to get moved, which I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, he says he wants to stay in New York. So, if the owners move a guy that, or GM whatever wants to move a guy that wants to be with the team, then that's just a Jets move for you. But yeah, he could be moved, and if so, then he's the next guy in charge in that backfield, and that would be huge for anybody to pick him up on this week's waiver wire. But like I mentioned, we're kind of just looking at stash guys at this point because these names are really, really rough.
It's pretty rough, I must say. It's brutal out there. Isaiah Davis, Woody Marks, our top waiver wire running backs of the week. Let's go into our wide receivers, and a big question is out there on TikTok. Alex saying Waddle or Leggett. Well, if Tua is the guy, then I would go with Waddle, but I wouldn't be so sure because Quinn Ewers came in this past week. But you mentioned Leggett, Alex, and the reason why I'm getting to your question is because of the fact that Xavier Leggett is my waiver wire out of the week this week. 13% owned, 24.2 fantasy points this past week. He had 11 targets, caught 9 of those targets, 9 of those 11 for 92 yards and a touchdown. He not only that had a breakout game, but also led the team in receiving. Coker, as we know, is back, but he only saw 2 catches, 2 targets, but didn't have a catch at all during the game. Leggett's trying to solidify himself as the wide receiver 2 behind T-Mac, and this could be the start of it. And that would make him the clear-cut wide receiver 2 if he continues to have games like this. But the question is what happens with the Bryce Young injury? As we know, Andy Dalton is the guy there going forward for now. We know Andy Dalton did good with Deontay Johnson last year, like you said, Gary.
Yeah.
Can he do it again with T-Mac as a true wide receiver 1 there and Leggett, who hasn't looked horrendously bad in the recent years?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, Andy Dalton's my guy, so I think he's going to be not necessarily as much of a gunslinger as like Flacco per se, but
Yeah.
He's with that category. Flacco, Jameis, Dalton, old guys that just don't really give a hell anymore. So it's like they're just going to chuck it as much as they want to. There could be room for Leggett to get work. I'm not going to rule that out. He might be Dalton's guy. So not a bad shout here. Obviously coming off of the best game of the year. To answer your question in the chat, I would go with Waddle. That's just because he's the wide receiver 1 there. And, obviously I think he only had 1 catch this past week against Cleveland, but the 2 games before that, he looked good. 205 total yards in those 2 weeks and a touchdown. So can't get much better than that. But yeah, Xavier Leggett's not a bad shout here. Like I mentioned, coming off his best game, so kind of expected him to be here. I was also thinking about throwing him if he didn't this week. So
I appreciate that you would take him as well.
Yeah.
Who is your wide receiver? Are you down to get this guy off the waivers?
Not really. It's Josh Downs. I'm really not at all. He didn't play this past week versus the Chargers. He had an injury. But like I mentioned, all these positions are getting kind of rough. And especially with all the injuries going on, he could serve as a liable flex option when healthy. In his last 2 games that he played, he had 15 targets for 27.6 fantasy points with an average of 13.8 in those 2 games. So definitely a serviceable flex player if he's healthy. The only thing is he's very hit or miss. And on any given Sunday, in all honesty, that Indianapolis defense can turn to Pittman, Alec Pierce, or him. So it's definitely, a dunk or a fumble. If you're going to put him in your lineup, you don't really know which way this could go. But the upside's there at times. And if he can be a little bit more consistent, then he's a guy that I can see being a flex play at times because he was the last 2 years. I mean, I've seen people throw him in at the flex, a good amount of times the last couple of years. So
Yeah, I actually don't hate it because Alec Pierce just had a good breakout game with Josh Downs hoping to come back. Daniel Jones, I mean, best record in the NFL. I mean, hey,
yeah,
he's balling out. Uh, if you told me that he would be balling out, being best in the league and possibly MVP candidate, I would tell you you're crazy. But hey, anything's possible in the NFL.
yeah.
Josh Downs, I don't hate it, so I'm all down for it. But again, it is brutal out there in the fields. Josh Downs, Xavier Leggett, her waiver wide receiver ads of the week. Let's go on to our tight ends, and there's a question in the chat that I saw. Cinco Cies, that's his name. I don't know why he didn't say CA Siete, but would you drop Waller or Njoku for Theo Johnson?
No, I don't think I would. In all honesty, I know it's had like those two good games, but last
Drop
game
Njoku.
he played, he had a touchdown. If I were to drop one, it would be Njoku, in all
Yeah.
honesty, but I don't think I would drop either of them for him. I think they both have just more upside, but he is tight end 12 right now. So if, based off that reason alone, if you want to pick him up, I don't necessarily blame you. But if you were to drop one of them, I would pick Njoku.
Yeah, I would pick Njoku as well. We'll answer the rest of the questions on TikTok after our waiver wires and Thursday Night Football predictions. But Thursday Night Football coming up, it's going to be an interesting conversation to have. But for the tight ends, I'll start with my guy, and that is Cade Otton. He was actually your guy, Gary, that you talked about during the Start Sit show to watch out for. And he produced 13.5 points, 32% owned. I think with many of these teams on a bye week this week, he could definitely be a streaming option, especially with Tampa Bay's injuries, with Chris Godwin, with Mike Evans officially gone for the year. Abuka somehow playing, and I just don't know how he ended up playing. But again, Tez Johnson's having a breakout. Cade Otton, we know he can be a decently good tight end, and it showed this week. Not only that, it's his third straight week with double digits. None of them with a touchdown, by the way. So I think he's a good streaming option, and I would perfectly be fine picking him up.
Yeah, you mentioned how he was my guy on Sunday, and I think he's going to be my guy, going forward. He showed a lot of flashes last year, and I think I mentioned it also on Sunday that I made, a pretty stupid trade for him. Around the trade deadline last year, I got kind of greedy, or not greedy, but I got kind of overzealous at the tight end position, hoping that, a young guy like Keaton, I think he's only 25, 26, would grow into, a top 7 tight end. And I think he still has the potential to do so, especially with Baker Mayfield slinging it. He definitely has the ability to do so with Mike Evans down, Chris Godwin down, and Jalen McMillan down. 3 of the top 4 wide receivers for the Buccaneers hurt. 2 of them for the entire season. So I think Hayda in the next couple of weeks could have 20-plus point games coming, rapid fire. So I think he's going to be one of the top guys to be grabbed off the waiver wire. He's on my waiver wire right now in Dynasty. I'm going to try to get him because, like I said, it didn't work at first, but he's still young. Maybe he can hopefully turn into something and maybe be my new tight end.
Wouldn't be a bad show. I'm curious to see your guy because your guy was actually a big waiver wire guy that we loved talking about. I think last year, and if not last year, definitely the year before.
Yeah, it was definitely last year. I mean, he made a name of himself with the Cowboys, but starting to make a name for himself with the Texans this last week. It's Dalton Schultz. He's the guy that sits at the top of the waiver wire like every single week for tight ends. No one grabs him because, he's a name that everybody knows because, like I said, he was good with the Cowboys, came to Houston. He's been kind of but, he's had some good games. everybody was just waiting for him to have a great game, and he finally did.
Mhm.
Last night he had 9 catches on 10 targets for 98 yards. His role's been improving each week, and if Nico has to miss a week due to that concussion that he sustained last night, I think he's going to have another great week. I think he's in line for another great week. And through the last 4 weeks, he's had an average of 7 targets a game. So the opportunities are there. I don't think he's caught a touchdown in those 4 weeks. But like I said, the opportunities are there, and I expect him, especially if Nico Collins has to miss a week or two. I think he himself could also have 15 to 20 plus point games.
I'm scared that CJ Stroud is not the CJ Stroud we wanted him to be.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
It's looking more and more, and I hate to go against CJ Stroud.
Me too.
I'm wondering maybe it's not him. Maybe it's the head coach.
Well,
maybe
I like D'Amico Ryans, but in all honesty, the offensive line's abysmal. Like it's absolutely awful.
How can
the run game's non-existent. Yeah, no, it's definitely not. It's not all him, and I might go as far as say it's not mostly him, but when it comes to fantasy, at least the thing is he's just not playing well. And yeah, the offensive line sucks. It's abysmal. The run game is non-existent, which doesn't help his case whatsoever. But the bottom line is, like I said, at least for fantasy purposes, he's not playing well. And what did I tell you on Sunday? That's, where this team starts is with him.
Yeah.
Defense has been playing well. They have the weapons in the receiving room, but especially with Nico Collins, top 10 wide receiver, but he's not playing like one fantasy-wise because CJ Stroud's not playing like how we saw him 2 years ago. So
exactly.
Even last season he showed the flashes. You kind of saw like a little bit more of what you're seeing this year from last year.
Yeah.
But this year it's just been, not good.
No, it has not. But Dalton Schultz could be the start of helping out that offense.
Maybe.
Shine again.
Maybe, we'll see.
K-Dot and Dalton Schultz, our waiver wire tight ends of the week. And let's get into the most important segment of the show, Thursday Night Football predictions. Levi asking us in the TikTok comments, both my running backs are on a bye week. Who do I pick up off the waivers? Well, we mentioned it earlier on the show, but we'll tell you right now. Woody Marks would be the number one guy to get off the waivers for running backs. And Isaiah Davis was my guy just because Breece Hall could be shocked. He's not a guy to start, but he's a guy to stream. But also Israel asking, should I do Genty, AJ Brown, and Worthy? Genty, AJ Brown, and Worthy for it's not loaded. For Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, and Kyron Williams.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I would do it.
Yeah.
I would do it for sure. Barkley for Judkins.
That's crazy. That's a question.
You'd be down for it.
No, I would stay with Barkley, but I have him in a league too, and it's getting pretty aggravating. I don't know why they just like completely, stopped giving him the ball, but I kind of said it was going to happen going into this year. If teams could figure out how to stop the Eagles' run game, then they would be beat. Because I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good of a quarterback to where if they're able to stop the run game, then he's going to be able to take over games and win it for them. He's done it at some times, but do I think he's going to be able to do that in the playoffs going forward? No. But of course, we're just talking about fantasy. I would stick with Saquon, but it's crazy that that's even a question. It makes sense. Like Judkins has been playing great, and he really hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Jake, appreciate the rose. Sean, appreciate the follow. Jake's question is Scatabo for Judkins and QJ.
I'd probably do that.
I would probably do it as well. Scatabo's the biggest hype. Scatabo's the biggest hype. Maybe you could get even a little bit more, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Judkins.
I don't know.
Another good receiver.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. Like, people, I get it that like everybody's just blowing up on Scatabo recently, and like he's going off, but it's kind of making people like turn their cheek to Judkins, who's RB14.
Scatabo's so good.
Scatabo, I guess Scatabo's RB8, of course, so he's having the better season. But Judkins has played one less game, and I think they have like around the same amount of carries. Like Judkins is having the games that Scatterbo is having. So I think you're getting more than what you should be getting.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize he was RB12. I didn't.
No, he's actually sorry. That's in a half PPR league that I just looked at. So it's probably a little bit different, but not by much.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it's a big difference. Maybe 14.
No.
Maybe even 11.
Scatterbo's 8 and Judkins is 15. So it's really not. It's a little bit of a difference, and I think QJ fills that void. I mean, he's been playing well. So
yeah. Minnesota and the Chargers. Minnesota Vikings, Los Angeles Chargers. Gary, should we talk about your record and how you're fumbling? You're turning like the Atlanta Falcons. Had such a big lead and blowing it.
I guess 10-2 is bad. Apparently,
it's not bad. It is a good record. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But I've slowly come back. I'm 7-5, Gary.
Yeah. Okay. I was up 5 and I'm up 3.
Yeah. There's the difference. Comeback season. Might as well call me Tom Brady. I'm coming back.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna go with the Chargers, and I am going to go with the over. I'm going to say Chargers win 27-23.
That's crazy. I typed in 27 before you even said 27. That's so awesome. I was just feeling you were going to go with the 27 score. Well, unfortunately, we are
same exact thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to have much of a difference this week. I'm going to take the Chargers as well. It's a closer game, 24-23. I think it will come down to the wire, and I think it'll end up being a good game, but I will take the over as well. So
okay, sounds good.
So, well, we got some minutes still left to go in our show, so we might as well just hop into some TikTok questions while we have everybody on. Of course, we are going to be going on Whatnot this week. It will be happening. Either, what are we on? Wednesday? No, I'm on Wednesday. You're on Tuesday. So.
Yeah.
Might go on Thursday or Friday, Eastern time zone, TBD. Might be either a 6-7 p.m. show or a midday show, 12 p.m. show. But we will be opening this Donruss Panini, and we will be selling boxes like NASCAR, NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and football boxes. So if anyone's interested in joining into the sports trading crew, by all means, join in on that. But anyways, let's get into some questions. Keeney, start Herbert versus Minnesota or Love versus Pittsburgh?
It's Herbert.
Yeah, I would start Herbert. Irwin, Devonta Smith for Marvin Harrison and Mason Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would slightly lean Marv. Marvin Harrison's looked okay. Devonta Smith had a good breakout. Who knows what Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts will do? But I would do the trade. I'd be okay with it. Nate, do I send Bucky Irving for Judkins?
No, I still wouldn't. I mean, obviously, no, you can't do that. Bucky was great when he started the season healthy. Obviously, you need him to come back to that. It just depends, like, what your record is, I guess, because you're like 0-6 or like, you're probably already out of the playoffs. But if you're like 2-4, or in week 7, if you're like 2-5 or 3-4, yeah. 3-4, I would debate making that move because you need him to start playing. If you weren't, though, I would not even think about it. But in all honesty, if you can't get more out of that deal, I'm fine with making it, but I would try to get more first because I think you can.
I would agree with Gary as well. I think the rest of the season, you could see Bucky having a better production.
Yeah.
But I think Judkins can keep your consistency. So I think I would go with a Judkins side if you can just get like a low end maybe or a mid-range wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I think that's what would help me really push it through. Again, I'm not a fan of going position for position because at the end of the season, one will be better. Luigi, you have a trade dilemma? Well, put it into the chat. We got you. Keeney, start Patriots defense versus Cleveland.
I probably would.
Yeah, I would too. I usually when I draft a defense, I keep the defense even if they're having a tough team. I just if they're a good defense, unless you somehow have Jacksonville. Jacksonville was going into it as the number 1 defense this week, and I was like, Jacksonville will probably be okay. Gives you -4 points, just awful. But I would start Page's defense against Cleveland. Alex, bench 1: Pickens, Addison, QJ, Olave.
Pickens, Addison, QJ, or Olave, bench 1.
Yeah. That's actually a tough question.
I'm between QJ and Addison. I don't know about you. Maybe you're thinking about Pickens, but that's my guy.
No, I actually think Pickens, it has to be a start.
I think so too.
More on Olave just because
really?
he finally got into the end zone, yes, this week and everything. But Addison's actually been consistent. I think Addison just put up 20 points, 25 points.
Oh, and Chris Olave, who's like wide receiver 9, by the way, isn't?
Oh man. But
Chris Olave has not had a game under 10 points. Talk about consistent. He's been double digits every single week. You cannot say Chris Olave.
Okay, so if we're going on Addison or QJ, then I would say Addison.
I agree with you.
Because QJ's put up points every single week. Let's see. Real got Kelsey or Otten. I'd go Kelsey. Rest of the season, Kelsey. This week, I'd still go Kelsey. But again, they both could have similar weeks.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Otten.
Okay. Every time I have a Waiver Wire show on TikTok, every time we're about to end the show close to it, it always says, "You've been inactive. We need you to verify if you're still here."
I'm waiting for me to get booted off still.
No, you don't get booted off during the Waiver Wire show. It's only starts and sits show that you always get booted on starts and sits. I don't know why, but for some reason it's always during that time. Damn, I can never get the piece to go into the thing. Just coleslaw. What a crazy name. Lamb and Adonze for Jefferson and Kyron.
That's tough, man. I just don't like Jetta's position right now. But I think I'm gonna lean that side still.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean that side as well. Luigi. I'm giving Genti and Kate Otten and getting Nico and George Pickens.
I like that for you. I mean, just need Nico to do better, of course. But you're definitely getting value, a ton of value out of that.
Yeah, I think you're getting a lot of value, but again, don't understand that you giving away Genti, you need to make sure you have good running backs.
Yeah.
Behind him.
Especially because you're not getting one back. So.
Exactly. I've all been saying Chargers tight end. For anyone who doesn't know Chargers tight end, it's Aronde Gadsden, who was just the tight end 1 in the waivers this past week. I don't think we talked about him is because there was too many mouths to feed on that offense.
I'll be honest with you, I thought about naming him, but I didn't. He's starting to get love. I mean, he went from 3 targets, 1 target to 8 and 9. So he's starting to get involved in that offense. I'm going to go with Gadsden.
Was there any weeks that he had 6 or 7 targets? J-Biz had 6-7, had to go in on it. Appreciate the follow, whoever followed. Didn't show me the name. Let's see. Andrew Saquon for Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry. Derrick Henry.
I mean, these two guys are having such similar seasons. Saquon's been better though, so I would probably stick with Saquon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blank name who has a profile picture of Saquon Barkley. Should I keep Kate Otten? Well, he's the waiver wire out of the week for tight ends, so I would say
it
yes.
depends what your other options are, but sure. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. We got like one or two more questions before we wrap things up. Again, make sure to follow us all over social media at SportsTimeHQ. We are going to go live on Whatnot for the first time, so that will be something also very fun to do. Maybe Gary will be joining. Maybe Gary will not. Who knows? See what he's up to. Mirza, Bam Knight and Mason Taylor for Woody Marks.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a 32-team trade.
Honestly, I would probably do it just because Woody has a chance to be the starter. Bam Knight.
Really?
I know Bam Knight's a starter, but what's the odds Bam Knight's really going to be like rest of the season? Like,
how can you even take one side of that deal? Like, it's so bad on both. I would probably just stick with Bam Knight and Mason Taylor. In all honesty, I wouldn't even bother.
Oh man, Aiden Quentin Johnson or Derrick Henry? I'm guessing rest of the season.
I think Derrick Henry is going to be fine once Lamar comes back. They got off to just a rocky start. I think the same with Saquon. That's why I said I'd lean Saquon. But you think about it, right? Like, Derrick Henry had a phenomenal first game against the Bills, and then he played the Browns, who just happened to own him. Like, they keep him contained every single time. And then he lost Lamar. So that is a huge loss. And I think Derrick Henry is such a buy low right now because people are getting really pissed off at him. I think once Lamar comes back, and hopefully that's this week, he's going to return back to normal.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. One more question. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt for David Montgomery, a good trade.
For getting JCM, yeah.
Yeah. I would. Before we leave, we do have a YouTube question from Ezekiel. Should I trade Matthew Golden for Tony Pollard?
I wouldn't.
No, I also wouldn't. If you're looking for running backs, I would say you trade Matthew Golden for another running back, one who I would think can have higher ceilings.
I mean, in all honesty, like, Golden hasn't been much either, so
yeah,
I don't think
because
Pollard.
He's been dealing with an injury.
Yeah, I know, but in all honesty, I'm not really much of a Matthew Golden believer, anyways. I think that him and Pollard are kind of like near the same tier, but I wouldn't even bother doing that. I would try to package somebody else with Golden and just get a better running back.
That's true. I would agree on that as well. That's going to do it in this week's episode. Again, if you haven't done so already, go follow us all over social media at SportsTimeHQ on TikTok, on Instagram, on Whatnot. Whatever social media there is, we probably are on there as well. Again, we are here every single week on Tuesdays for our Waiver Wire show at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Sundays for our Start and Sit show at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, if you haven't done so already, use code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy. They will match first deposit up to $100. Again, I was joined by my great co-host Gary. Go follow him all over social media at GDPicks. And I'm Fernando. I'm your host, SportsTimeHQ, and we will see you all on Sunday on YouTube, maybe very soon, later on this week on TikTok.